Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And in this one, we'll be going over my top 10 arena compositions, Retribution Paladin style. So if you're ready to lay down the law and bring some justice to the World of Warcraft arena, Shadowlands Retribution Paladin is looking like a selection, as it is having a lot of utility return to it, an incredible amount of burst damage, as well as an incredible amount of consistent healing throughout the game. This is a specialization as it stands in the beta that is getting better and better as things go along. So if you'd like to see what I think of the compositions you should look forward to in Shadowlands, so start building your friend group now, which classes to try and synergize with. This is going to be the video for you. Or if maybe you're just curious about playing with the Retribution Paladin, what they bring to the table, that's what's going to be provided in this video. So let's get started here. We've got number 10, the Retribution Paladin and an Elemental Shaman healer. The reason that I've got Elemental Shaman here is because I'm starting to anticipate a hybrid meta, at least as it stands right now, with the healing output of hybrids, shamans, druids, paladins, monks, and priests. There's likely to be a lot of synergy between them by just creating this trinity of a triple healer composition, and this has been powerful in the past. I'm thinking back to Mists of Pandaria days, things like Shadow Priest Elemental, compositions like that. This is going to function very similarly. So the Retribution Paladin is going to provide concentration aura for the Elemental Shaman to reduce interrupt duration, as well as the healer if you play with a Discipline Priest. So you've got the threat of this composition of 3 damage dealers bringing a Discipline Priest, or 3 healers as well with the Retribution Paladin's healing and the Elemental Shaman's healing. So this is a very durable composition. This is one that I would recommend to a newcomer to Arena if you've never really played Arena before, because it is going to be very durable and provide a lot of healing, so you can kind of get comfortable in the Arena match. If you're looking for more durability, you can bring a Druid or a Mistweaver. I think Mistweaver is likely to be pretty prominent as damage over time effect classes are looking strong, and the Mistweaver toolkit brings counteract magic, which makes the Renewing Mist heal a lot against damage over time effects, and I think that it's going to serve as a counter pick healer, so you may still want to make friends with Mistweavers if that ends up being the case. But this is a very big thunder punching composition. And moving into the number 9 slot, we've got another thunder composition, however in this case a melee, and this is the one time that I am favoring Enhancement over Elemental. My opinion of this specialization is evolving as the Shadowlands beta continues. Enhancement Shaman running the Earthshield Legendary along with some Resto Shaman conduits is actually a very, very, very difficult specialization to actually kill at the moment, and again provides good synergy with just triple healer with a Discipline Priest, as that is looking to be like a very powerful strategy at the moment. This brings in multiple diminishing returns as well with Hex, Fear, and Hammer of Justice, so you've got split crowd control diminishing returns. If you'd rather bring defense than offense, again bringing in a Druid or a Mistweaver monk. I would recommend a Kyrian Retribution Paladin at this time with Divine Toll and synergies with your honor talents. Divine Toll effectively judgments any target in front of you, has a 40% chance to judgment multiple times, and if you have an honor talent that every time you judge you do 5% of someone's health, 40% chance to trigger that 3 times, you're doing a ton of burst damage. This is going to synergize really well with the Venthyr Enhancement Shaman with Chain Harvest, just an instant cast red lightning bolt of doom. You combine these together, you do like a 3-2-1 Hammer of Justice, bzz, everything's going down with Dark Archangel. This is going to be a really punchy composition, as well as supporting with triple healer. I'm getting like an early Legion vibe, like when we backed all the way to BlizzCon Championships, where we saw even Prop Paladin, Enhancement Shaman, and this type of composition build with hybrids is looking very prominent at the moment. Moving forward to the number 8 slot, we've got Retribution Paladin Death Knight, the throwback, all the way from Cataclysm. That's a long time. Like, I mean, someone was born and went through most of their life, like a lot of their life, since we've seen this composition really rise and have any sort of presence. And I'm saying that because Death Knights have presence. This is a very bursty comp. I recommend it with a Frost Death Knight over an Unholy Death Knight by being able to grip multiple targets with a Necrolord Death Knight, pulling them out into the open and swapping to a healer. You're going to do a ton of burst damage with the Chill Streak, with Execution Sentence, with Divine Toll, cleaving multiple targets. And then you just got this Discipline Priest in the backline going, hey, I'm having a good time smiting everything back here. My Retribution Paladin's healing with Word of Glory. My Death Knight is also able to heal with Death Strike. There's a lot of defensive cooldowns, good support for for the priest, or you could bring in a shaman as well. But at this time, it does stand that priest would be the best healer, but I've listed them in order of what I think you would play. And if things change, of course, then this order would then jump up one slot. But this is looking like a very bursty composition, a lot of fun. You could try a dampening version of this with Unholy Death Knight, and then I would recommend Druid or Mistweaver. But if you're looking for intensity, burst damage, Frost is looking better, although Frost is also getting nerfed a lot, and it's really unfortunate because it was really exciting to look at Frost Death Knights getting this big Obliterate two-hand build, and then they just keep chopping away at Obliterate. It's like there's tons of stuff that seems like it's a bit of more of a bigger problem at the moment, but they just seem to be targeting Obliterate. So there is potential that this does end up falling off and you'd actually want Unholy, but I've listed both here just in case. Number 7, we've got the Feral Druid. Who would have thought to see that in here? A Feral Druid, again, hybrids all coming together to heal each other infinitely with a Discipline Priest for aggression, or even a Resto Shaman. Resto Shamans are starting to get their kind of momentum. Discipline Priest still in the #1 spot, but you could make this work with a Restoration Shaman, and you would want Purge on this. So having a Discipline Priest and a Shaman would be a good idea. You have Cyclone. You could also run Repentance with this build as a Retribution Paladin if you're playing with a Discipline Priest. So you've got Repentance into Cyclone, into Psychic Screams. You've got huge Ferocious Bite damage with Execution Sentence. So if the Feral Druid and the Retribution Paladin are coordinated in their burst, you can pretty much 100 KO somebody very quickly. If you're running a Night Fae Feral Druid, you've also got Convoke the Spirits for another burst window. So you've got Avenging Wrath, you've got Hammer of Reckoning, Hammer of Wrath, and this huge amount of Ferocious Bite and Convoke the Spirits. So it's going to be all about crowd control the healer, burst down a target in a matter of like 5 seconds, and then go back to kind of triple healer, sustain the team for a long time, is the way that damage is starting to appear to be the most prevalent strategy. Moving in at the number 6 spot, we've got the Warrior smashing in at number 6. This one, again, just bringing a ton of cleave damage. Warriors also have a lot of sustainability now, getting some of their utility returned, like Ignore Pain. This is a very big shield that the Warrior can apply to itself. And then the Retribution Paladin can heal up the target with Word of Glory, or the Discipline Priest has time to recover. So it's great synergy, again, between all of these specializations. Sharpened Blade from the Arms Warrior to reduce healing incoming by 50%. The Spear of Bastion from the Warrior, pinning mages in place, which would typically give this composition a really hard time. The Spear of Bastion is going to hold any caster in place. They try and escape. They get pulled back in. Time that with all of your burst cooldowns. You now have a Shattering Throw to remove ice blocks, as well as Mass Dispel, with Disc Priest being a prevalent healer at the moment. So this composition is only getting better in my mind, moving from Battle for Azeroth to Shadowlands, and it's coming in at number 6. Isn't that kind of crazy that a powerhouse composition like this is number 6? Like there's even better compositions moving in here. So number 5, we've got the Demon Hunter, and I've actually ranked it higher than the Arms Warrior in this case after my own personal testing of it. The Mortal Wounds effect applied by Fell Rush to multiple targets is going to be devastating with this composition, as well as the Sinful Brand from Aventhyr Demon Hunter. During Metamorphosis, you apply this very powerful damage over time effect. This is going to be an Anti-cleave composition. You're just going to be slaughtering any double melee DPS in my mind with a build like this, bringing in a Discipline Priest again in the backline, although you may want a Druid in this one and look for more of those kind of deep dampening mana riff strategy games and play for a later win in that sense. But the damage output of the Demon Hunter is looking pretty strong at the moment, so long as you're just running basically the Battle for Azeroth build and not really trying too many of the new things. Unbound Chaos is all right, but Essence Break and that kind of stuff, probably just avoid it. Play what you, if you're a Demon Hunter and you know the Battle for Azeroth build, you're probably just going to want to stick with that. But getting AoE Mortal Wounds, having reverse magic as well as Sanctuary from the Retribution Paladin means that you get your priest out of a ton of crowd control. You have Mortal Wounds, which is comp didn't have before, so all this great defensive utility. Darkness for a team, Ice Block basically, Divine Shield, Blessing of Protection, Blessing of Sacrifice. You have so many defensive cooldowns, so much sustainability, and then heavy hitting burst damage between Metamorphosis and Avenging Wrath that I don't see why this wouldn't be a really good composition. Moving in at number 4, We've got Retribution, Shadow Priest. It wouldn't be a top 10 without Shadow somewhere in the top 10. Shadow Priests are dominating force at the moment. Again, same type of utility. It's a hybrid. It's going to provide a lot of healing to the team to extend matches. In my mind, I'd recommend a Shaman with this one in particular. This is going to be a more bursty oriented composition for the Shadow Priest, so you may even want to opt to play Mind Bomb, and you can use Silence Mind Bomb on the healer, Avenging Wrath onto the main target, and even Hammer of Justice onto the main target. This is a composition that now is Shadow Word Death baseline and Hammer of Wrath baseline. Once you get a target low, I don't think they're surviving that huge execute hit. So this is going to provide rot pressure, then set up during crowd control, hammer down for burst. It fits exactly with the main strategies I see unfolding at the moment for Shadowlands. And if those strategies don't work out, it provides a ton of healing to drag it into dampening, where those strategies will inevitably start to work out. So this could be a fun little mix combo between heavy burst and heavy rot for a Retribution Paladin. Comes in at number 4. Number 3, we've got Retribution Paladin Rogue. Ret Rogue, Shaggy. Ret Rogue, the classic. This wouldn't be a top 10 without Ret Rogue, I think. This is a composition that is looking like it could be very spooky. The amount of burst damage available to Subtlety Rogues, the threat of Shadowy Duel, the threat of Smoke Bomb. If you're ever out of position, this is a composition that will just immediately eradicate you. This is going to be a very fast-paced, bursty comp. It also already works pretty well in Battle for Azeroth, but man, this thing is going to be absolutely nuts. And it's not even number 1 in my mind. It's coming in at number 3. You definitely want to play with a Discipline Priest in my mind, or a Shaman. Druid's like, okay, but you really want aggression, purge spamming, damage output, overwhelm the enemy team. If they trinket blind, then you could swap to the healer with Kidney Shot. You can tarnal the healer at the start. They trinket, blind them, swap to something else. You still got sustainability with the Retribution Paladin off healing, concentration aura to help out the healer with Sanctuary, cheap shots from the Rogue to set up for Psychic Screams, potentially even able to run Repentance in this build. Divine Toll from the Kyrian, going to be doing a ton of damage. This is going to be a really fun composition. Coming in at number 2, we've got the Hunter, the classic. I think a lot of you are probably expecting this to be number 1, but this one easily, it's still same old classic feel. Marksmanship Hunter is just in a great position doing tons of damage, and at the moment with a Kyrian Marksmanship Hunter with Resonating Arrow to prevent enemies from running away out of line of sight. If they do manage to survive while their healer is in a freezing trap, the classic Hammer of Justice freezing trap Psychic Scream combo, yeah, they're not able to run away. That Hunter's just going to lay down a Resonating Arrow and just finish them off. Kill Shot, Hammer of Wrath coming back means that there's execute potential in this composition again. You've got Mass Dispel, you've got Tranquilizing Shot for Purge to remove off those pesky Blessing of Protections that gave this composition a hard time in the past. This is one that basically all of the previous weaknesses to it are gone. Now it has nothing but strengths, and at the moment, Hunters and Rets do insane damage. You will just absolutely erase somebody from the game with this composition. So it's definitely up there, and it's still not even my number 1. And the reason it's not my number 1 is that I feel like this next one holds the same type of big threat that the Hunter has, but also has longevity to play a late game. So can you guess what it is? I mean, we've been through a lot here in the top 10, and we're down to number 1. It wasn't a Hunter, it wasn't a Shadow Priest, it wasn't a Rogue. So what could it possibly be coming in at the number 1 slot? The Windwalker. Who would have guessed here? Obviously, the Windwalker providing a lot of off healing as well, with Expel Harm coming back baseline into the kit, an insane amount of mobility, setting up good crowd control with Paralyze into Psychic Scream from your healer, and most importantly, the Venthyr Covenant Fallen Order for the Windwalker. Basically, at the start of a fight, I can see the Windwalker using Fallen Order. The enemy team is in complete disarray. They have to blow their entire defensive lineup to just survive a bunch of monk images punching their faces, and then the Retribution Paladin's like, you just used all of your cooldowns, did you? Well, I've got Avenging Wrath, and I don't think you're surviving. Dark Archangel paired up with this, Purges from a Shaman or a Priest Healer if you want to bring them in, Druid if you want to drag it out into dampening. It's going to provide a lot of offense to this team. It brings all of the same punch, burst, mortal wounds as the other compositions, but in my mind with the most amount of sustainability and kiting potential to avoid any sort of like early game shenanigans and kind of drag it into dampening if you need to. This is the most well-rounded while having all of the positives and the strengths of the compositions previous to it that I've recommended. So in my mind, it stands out as the number 1 Retribution Paladin composition for Shadowlands. So if you enjoyed my list here, please leave it with a like. Comment down below with your thoughts on the list. What compositions do you think I missed out on? What compositions do you think will work? What compositions do you want to ask me if I think will work? Always checking out the comments, doing my best to answer them as I can. Aside from that, please consider subscribing to the channel, as it will notify you when I'm uploading. I'm doing my best to upload every single day with Shadowlands content. If that interests you, keeping you up to date on all of the changes, keeping you up to all up to date on everything that's going on. As soon as I get any information, I'm uploading videos constantly. Check out my class recommendation video where I'll go over some of the specializations that I think are standing out in terms of overall enjoyment of the game. I do take performance into account, but do remember we're in the beta. Do remember we're at the start of an expansion. Do remember that in this game they can change whatever they want whenever they want. So in my mind, still really important to pick something you're not going to get bored of and just want to quit after putting all that time grinding your gear away. So just let's make sure that we're up to date on that by staying subscribed. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.